Yeah, anyway, thanks for doing this with me, right?
It's all right.
Yeah, right. So, just basically, I just want to talk to you about the metal community and what it means to you. Like, I mean, so I remember suffering like mental health myself. Okay, now I found the metal has always helped me deal with that because the community is never treated me any different. So if you're disabled, doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter anything like that. They will accept
Mhm.
anything. And so, have you ever suffered mental health, right? And
Oh,
has
constant.
metal helped you?
Well, I mean, I've suffered from. I mean, I think we all suffered from mental health issues at one point in our lives or another. Especially during COVID, I think a lot of people in the music industry, especially, have suffered a lot. Um, it's I think I'm like a constant yo-yo. It's up and down all the time. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm not bipolar, but I definitely always feel it's sort of up and down
it's there,
in
yeah,
terms of how my mental health is. But music has always been a place of meditation for me. It's always been something that's grounded me and where I feel sort of a zen with. I can sit and I can just play any instrument. Not that I can play an instrument, but
yeah,
I can play an instrument that I can play and just disappear, and that takes away a lot of sort of the whatever mental stress I might have. And it's usually the way that then becomes a conduit to express whatever's going on mentally.
yeah,
Metal especially has always been great because there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of space to really express the what you're feeling, with the music and how you're feeling inside. And even though it can be dynamic and all that at the same time, but also, like you say, something that's even more important is the community. Like, and you see that very clearly in a festival like Bloodstock that we've just played at. And that was the first festival we've been back to since the lockdowns hit. And you could just see that's a different kind of community,
yeah,
and
right.
that's a different kind of festival. I think it is the best metal festival in the UK, not simply because of the bands, but
Yeah,
because of the format and the community that is there. You can clearly see there is a family environment there rather than just
yeah,
a bunch of
yeah,
strangers
so,
coming
yeah.
to,
And
do this
metal's
stuff.
changed a lot there, hasn't it? It's got more of a family-friendly face to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was I forget, time is very strange now, but we played festival, I think, a couple of years ago in 2019 or something.
Yeah,
I thought it was so weird. Why on earth are we
yeah. When you
playing
pick it up,
festival?
that's what it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but it was, it's a family festival. They were trying it out, and it was great to see some of the videos. I think someone posted a video of their son on top of someone's
Yeah,
shoulders, and it was sort of that. It was the countdown, to getting into the main "Am I Evil" riff after Brian does his
yeah,
solo, and he
yeah.
just does this countdown: five, four,
Just
three, two,
rocking
one, and
it.
then the kid just goes mad and starts
Yeah.
headbanging everyone's. So it has become very much a wider accepted,
Yeah,
format of
definitely.
music compared to back in the day.
It must be great singing for Diamond Head, though. I mean,
Yeah,
as it,
yeah, it's all
you're
right.
such an influential band when it comes to thrash metal. You're influencing Metallica and things like that. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's all. That's all the past, really. So I can't take any credit for that, and I
so,
can't. I totally. It's not an easy job because there's a lot of responsibility to respect that past.
so nothing weight on your shoulders as a front man. Like,
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I don't feel the weight, but I feel like there is an obligation to very much, respect and always follow through on that stuff. So I do think sometimes I can't entirely be myself,
yes,
um, because I have to adhere to what the band was in the past and push that forward. Obviously, I've been sort of feeding a little bit of my more, let's
yeah,
say, more modern approach to some things, but
yeah.
there is a responsibility there to make sure that legacy is very much adhered to, and hopefully push the band slightly further and up the ladder.
Right, you're a good singer. Like, you have a really strong voice and stuff. Right?
Thank you. It's I was a loud kid. I used to yell a lot. Help me out.
So you've been in other bands, I assume, prior to Diamond Head.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in other bands, but nothing to talk about. I mean, I wouldn't even give them the time of day, to be honest. It's I can't remember some of the bloody names. You know, I mean, it was weird because I started out as a guitarist anyway, so that was actually the first thing I did,
Yeah.
and I played more guitar in bands than actually fronted them. So it was sort of, well, I know I can do this well, so let's see how that works out.
Kind of a golden opportunity you've been given for that, like, I mean,
Oh no, it's a huge opportunity, you know, and it was, you know, I mean, like I have to tell people, very embarrassing. Oh no, I didn't even know about Diamond Head before I joined them. You know, I mean, like I have to tell people, it was sort of very. This band needs a singer. I didn't even know about Diamond Head before I joined them. You know, here's the number, and it was sort of, you know, and then it's like, okay, singer. Maybe that's a job. Yeah, I do. Here's the number, and that was it. You know, and then it's like, okay.
And then I saw
the same
people I never actually unit time and ended up on the
Oh,
story.
that was in the
Yeah. And then I saw the first time. There always had a history there, like,
oh, that was yeah. There's a huge amount of history, and I think one thing that you just can't deny, regardless of however people might view there's a huge amount of history. And I think the one thing that you just can't deny, regardless of really great songs, you know, especially back Diamond Head, you Metallica. Obviously, you can talk about how it's Diamond Head have always just written really great songs. You know, they're just great songs. I mean, we always talk about how it's sort of gone off track. We played the songs so many times, and they're just great songs. It never gets old. We always think they're just. Man, great song. We played the songs so many times. Am I Evil? The Prince. It never gets old. A lot of the sort of the classics, great songs. You know, I mean, they're just great songs. Am I Evil? A lot of the sort of the classics that are there. You know, they're just great songs.
So who's the test of this day?
Yeah, I think Saxon, they fucking worked their asses off. I have a lot of respect for that. You know, they. Yeah, I think Saxon, they fucking worked their asses off. I have a longer time span, you know, they than Diamond Head, but they basically in the entire time span released a record every 2 years. That's a lot of music. Diamond Head, but they basically in the entire time span released a record every 2 years. That's a lot of music. That's incredible. You know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had a chat to Biff as well. I think when we were out touring with them, and I had to just say I'm so impressed. Yeah, I mean, I hope my voice can sound like as well. Yours. I think when we were out touring with them, when I'm just say I'm so impressed. I mean, I hope my voice, you know, not everyone's voices hold up when I'm at your age, because it's incredible. You know, not everyone's voices hold up. It's simple as that.
It's there. It's not strong as it used to be, but he's still the power.
He's still. I mean, from a technical point, I can hear that he's lost a bit of the power, but that's. It's not his voice. That's from a technical point. I can hear that he's lost a bit of power, but that's more tired. It's not his voice. That's just muscle strength, basically. But he still has entire performance. More tired. Not as much God muscle strength there, and but he still has the entire performance, and he still hits the notes. You know, that's the thing. I mean, when we did God that is there, and for the cover. Yeah, and he still hits the notes. You know, that's the thing. I mean, when we did Christ, that was hard for the cover on Lunch the Nations. I mean, Jesus Christ, that was hard to achieve. Oh, it's just going mental, you know, and especially at the end, you have to pick out all of those like choir harmonies. Oh, it's just and some of the stuff. Wait, there's another one. Especially at the end, you have to pick out all of those like choir harmonies. And some of the stuff. Wait, it was not easy. Managed to get them. There's that. But yeah, not in his tone. I mean, we don't sound the same anyways. Managed to get them. Yeah, it's incredible. That's one of the hardest songs in his tone. I mean, we don't sound the same anyways. But yeah, it's incredible. That's one of the hardest songs I've ever had to cover. I mean, I'm a front runner. I'm a front runner. Isn't it? And I must have lived to sing. I mean, I'm a front runner, right? I'm a front runner. That was a real challenge. And so you have to look at that with a mental thing. Right, when I was growing, that was a real challenge, right? I was learning from you guys, like, you mean, you're listening to Diamond Head or Metallica, or you do this piece, you mean? There's an influence there, and like, a challenge to try and sing like that, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's a challenge to try and sing like anyone that isn't you necessarily, right? Yeah. But you got to take, you know, I mean, I try to listen to what tools other people use. I mean, you can never sound exactly like someone else, really, because you just end something different. You can get close, very close, but it's always a challenge. I mean, don't get me wrong, all the covers were not easy. Even the Metallica cover, No Remorse, it starts on a high E flat. Obviously back in the day he just screamed it out.
Hefty's voice is maturing, isn't it? It's really
Yeah,
better with time, but I find.
yeah. I mean, his voice has gotten lower, but he's gotten way more control. What was it, after the Black Album? He had to go and get voice lessons because he was losing his voice during that.
Yeah.
But he's just incredible. I mean, one thing as a singer and a songwriter, I think he's absolutely incredible. But
he's a
that right hand.
Yeah, Hefty is a guy I'd love to speak to. I mean, he has influenced me for years. When I started singing, I learned from Hefty initially because my voice is quite deep.
Yeah.
So I have to pick him a really deep voice, guys. To him a Motorhead or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Hefty has so much control, doesn't he?
There's a lot of dynamics to a lot of his songs that he writes. It both stays in a low, but also hits medium high notes. It's not ultra high, but he plays with a wide dynamic range.
Yeah, always impressed me.
So
So when a few years ago, in 2017, I lost my brother to my condition.
I'm sorry.
He died, but basically what happened was I decided to start a metal band, right? And my band became like a family to me, like.
Yeah.
Would you say Diamond Head's the same to you?
I'd like to say yes, but it's a little bit more difficult because we're so far spread apart.
Yeah.
And we don't actually get to see each other unless we are, either prepping for an album or prepping for gigs. So I would like to say yes. And in all honesty, I think from my point of view anyways, I'd do anything for them.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're that far apart. I think, it's tough. I mean, Carl lives in France. He used to live in the US.
Yeah.
So that was never really saw him. And the rest of the guys up in the Midlands, and I think everyone's sort of just living their own lives a bit because it's not a young band. In a young band, it's sort of easy. You live in the same area, you go hang out, you go get pissed in the pub and have a laugh.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, we do that on tour whenever there is a tour, So, I mean, don't get me wrong, the guys are not old in that sense. They can all handle their liquor.
They can be probably used to it.
Yeah, I think
it must have been amazing, like seeing them again. And
it was great.
And performing live,
Yeah, I mean, we had 3 days of rehearsals before the warm-up gig in Plymouth and then Bloodstock, and it was just great. The first time I heard, both Brian and Ab's guitar, that opening chord on Light into the Nations and left and right in-ear monitors, like da-da-da. It's like, yes, I have missed this.
Yeah, sure that is right. I have missed that too, like.
Yeah. So it's I mean, we are a family in our own weird and distant space.
Yeah, that's why I've always felt about metal as a general. It is a massive family, like. Yeah, we're all influenced by big guys like Iron Maiden and that, And as fans, it sort of brings us together, like,
Yeah. I mean, the fans is ultimately what brings everything together. None of the bands would be anything without the fans, and the metal fans are by far the most loyal fans that are out there. They're not. It's like you say, it's more of it's a culture rather than say, pop or any of the other genres. They just don't have that same kind of pull. I mean, they might have a different culture, but it's not a very loyal one.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Especially as a disabled person, like dance music is never really entertained me much. I always saw the benefits but with metal, I never felt that. Never felt any different.
No, I think the sort of the dance and the electronic style, it's not about as much community as it is about the ego. Because it's about just having a good time at a party, but you have your own goals in mind. Where, in metal, it's about, I mean, you have people. There was someone in the crowd, or five guys in the crowd when we were playing. They were doing the Macarena, and they were doing like rowing in the middle. I mean, some of this cracked me up. I heard this. Someone sent me this afterwards. Something about an Irish guy who had bought a falafel and he wasn't happy with it. So all these guys around said, "Well, if you're not happy with it, fuck it." And they said, "Fuck it," and said, "All right, I will." And then he literally pulled out his dick. He fucked his falafel. It's you wouldn't see that kind of shit at a dance festival, would you?
No, you would. You probably get kicked out for that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And my last question to you, right? What does metal mean to you?
I think everything. It's, metal is, I mean, it's so much a part of my identity now. Not only thanks to, I mean, I've always listened to metal, but obviously Diamond Head cemented a sort of place in it more for me. Not only because I learned more about sort of the history and the legacy of part of metal, but I mean, I've always been a fan of aggressive music, and I think I listen to a lot more aggressive metal than any of the other guys at Diamond Head do in general. But it's always sort of sat within me, but it's not until like the last, my years in Diamond Head that it really started to mean everything, really. It's it's hard to say. I'm still trying to find my way in music. There's still so much space to grow, but it's definitely something that makes me feel like it's deeply rooted in my bones.
Definitely. Yeah, it feels that way for me too. Like, have you had the opportunity to meet some of your metal heroes?
No, I have not. I guess if I was going to meet actually, no, that's not true. It's really silly. We were playing Slovenian Metal Days, and I was a little bit under the weather. I just had like, what's it called? Basically, my voice was not good. I'd had like 10. Yes, it wasn't tonsillitis. It was something else, but basically no voice. And this was like, I'm trying to recover. Yeah. And we were eating before we went on, and not knowing it really, I knew that we were to the left of us, of our table, that Behemoth was sitting there. They're not my metal like heroes. But then to the right of me, the entire band from Ginger was sitting there. And I'm a huge fan of them. So I hadn't really clocked it because I was too focused. And it's like, shit, I could have gone total fanboy there. Yeah. I think, and most of my metal heroes, I mean, my ultimate hero was not really metal. It was more grunge, and that was Chris Cornell. And unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him. Yeah, I had really hoped to meet him because they were playing the same day we were at Rocklahoma in May 2017. And unfortunately, he killed himself 2 days before that. So didn't get to meet him. Yeah.
Legend, really.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many I'd like to meet. Not necessarily all metal, but a lot of people I'd like to meet. It's not somebody even meet. I think I'd like to jam. That's the thing.
Just favorite of it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I'd love to meet Dave Grohl, have a beer, and just play some music. Or I would not mind meeting up with Lizzie Hale and doing a duet on something and having some beers. Beers always involved.
I mean, that's really what I'm hoping for with doing this documentary. Like, but just some of the other guys, like for me, James Hetfield would be amazing to meet this. I'd try and contact their managers and things like that. But I'm doing very well with this documentary. But speaking to you guys, really proves my point. The American community as well, and it accepts everyone. And that's really the point I'm trying to prove. Like,
yeah.
The majority of you are legends. You're lovely people to speak to. You're all treating me with respect. You've all answered my emails, which is well, so much respect here. Like.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like you said, everyone in the metal community is just accepted, just straight up, because you don't say no to anyone really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's one of the really key components and even if you're struggling with something mental,
Yeah,
just go join your other mental friends and rock out to some metal, because you're going to feel a lot better afterwards because of that community and the music and the expression.
that's right. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you so much for doing this, Russ. It's
no
been
problem,
lovely.
man.
All right.
All
Okay,
right,
thank you. Speak to you soon.
cheers, have a good
Bye-bye.
one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.